Hello everyone, welcome to Voxel. So in this video we're gonna discuss academic book 19th test 4 reading passage 3. So we have already discussed reading passage 1 and passage 2 of this particular test number 4. So if you haven't watched those videos you should watch them, but after watching this video. For this video I want your undivided attention. So without further ado, let's dive right in. So if you have watched my previous videos, you should know how we begin. We start with our reading the title of the passage, and our title says the unselfish gene. So this should be something related to biology of humans, like what kind of traits we humans have, and because of this why, because of this particular gene. Okay, let's read the introduction. A psychologist gives his view on how humans became self-centered. So this particular paragraph will be views of psychologist, and he or she okay, because he is telling us about how or why humans became self-centered. So why we became selfish, but the title is saying unselfish gene, so it's a bit contrast here. So let's we will when we will read the paragraph it will be clear to us, but what we should do now is we will not read the paragraph just yet. We will go to the questions and see what kind of questions we are dealing with, so that we can make our strategy. So let's see, we have to solve from questions number 27 to 40. So first questions 27 to 30. So for this is MCQs, so we have to select one option out of these four options. So what is writer doing in the first paragraph? So we know that our first question's location is in the first paragraph, so we can easily move on from here. Let's see the second set. One word only. Let me change the color for this. Okay, so we know we have to complete the blanks, we have to complete the summary for this particular set of questions, and we can only write one word in every blank. If we write more than one word, let's just say two or three words, even though our one word is correct out of those two or three words, but still our answer will be marked as incorrect. So we have to be very careful about that. And this is our last set, 36 to 40. So we in this for this we have to write yes, no, not given. So what we're gonna do is now is first we will solve our first question, first paragraph, and after reading this paragraph, okay, after solving this question, we will go to this particular blank and see if any answer is in the first paragraph or not. If there is no answer, we will go, or if there is answer or not, there is no answer, doesn't matter. After solving this, we will go to the first yes, no, not given. Okay, so that we should not have to read the first paragraph again and again. Let's read the question first. What is the writer doing in the first paragraph? So the question is asking us what's the writer doing in, okay, let me change the color. What's the writer doing in the first paragraph? A option, setting out two opposing views about human nature. So is the writer giving us two opposing views about human nature? Meaning to say, some like one view is saying it is positive and other is saying it is negative, like basically like what we do in both views. Are there two different views about human nature? B, justifying his opinion about our tendency to be greedy. Is writer trying to justify his opinion that why humans are greedy? So he is giving a particular opinion. Is he trying to justify? I highly doubt this can be our option, because for that the paragraph has to contain a lot of information. Like first he will give some sort of opinion, then he will try to justify that particular opinion. I am not saying it cannot be the answer, but I believe it's highly doubtful. But we should keep an open mind, and like out of these four options any option can be our answer. We cannot like eliminate any option for sure before reading the paragraph. C option, describing a commonly held belief about people's behavior. Okay, so C option is saying this, like the writer is describing a commonly held belief, like people, what people commonly believe about their behavior, about people's behavior, like why people are like this, like why some people are greedy, some people are kind, basically what kind of behavior people has. Okay, there is a common belief about that, and the writer is just describing. Now, you should be very careful about the difference in B and C. Here, he is justifying his opinion about greed. Let's just say people's behavior is greed for both answers. So, here he is justifying his opinion why people are greedy. But here he is describing that it is a common belief people are greedy. So, C option, he is not justifying anything, his belief, but in B, he is justifying his belief. D. Explaining why he thinks that humans act in a selfish manner. Again, so he is explaining why he thinks human act in a selfish manner. Why we act as selfish. He is explaining that. He is not justifying his opinion in this paragraph, in this option. He is just saying why he thinks this is the case. To justify, you have to give some examples, you have to give some proofs, but here he's explaining why he thinks like that. So these three options, basically this B option is quite similar to C and D, but there are some contrasts in it, so you have to be very careful about that. So let's read the first paragraph and it will be a bit more clear to us. There has been a long general assumption that human beings are essentially selfish. So if the line is saying that there has been a long general assumption, so people generally assume that humans beings are essentially selfish. We are apparently ruthless with strong impulses to compete against each other for resources and to accumulate power and possessions. So we want to do this against each other, we want to gather resources, we want to accumulate power and possessions, like we want to own big houses, big cars, like we want to be in power, like position of power, basically like politicians, board of members, like we want to be a person that holds power. Okay, if we are, if we are kind to one another, it's usually because we have ulterior motives. So if we are kind to each other, like if we have some sort of sympathy towards each other, or if we are doing each other favors, it's usually because we have some ulterior motives. Basically we have something else in mind, we want to take advantage of that particular person or situation. If we are good, it's only because we have managed to control and transcend our innate selfishness and brutality. And the writer is saying that if we are good, like let's just say some people are good, it's only because we have managed to control and transcend, supersede our innate, that's inbuilt selfishness and brutality. So human by nature is selfish and brutal. So we can, we like in the past, when I was like talking about the time of caveman, so we like when we didn't have any means or much resources, we killed whatever came in our way for food or for power, something like that. So that's our nature. So if we are good, because we have managed to control those impulses, those emotions, those like brutal traits of ours. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is, before every question I'm gonna give you about 10 seconds to tell me the answer, and I hope it's quite clear the from the like sentences I have managed to explain to you. And if you are not able to, like if you need more time, if you're not able to read the complete information again in the given 10 seconds, you can pause the video, and when you are ready with your answer, you can continue. So your 10 seconds start now. Okay, time's up. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna read together. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna solve like I am solving it, like without like explaining to you. A option: setting out two opposing views about human nature. Are there any two different views? No. This passage is entirely based on one view, that humans are selfish in nature. Okay, we are ruthless, we are selfish, all the negative things. And if we are kind, that's because we have managed to do this. But there is no opposing view. So what I'm going to do is, this cannot be our this cannot be our answer, so I'm gonna do it in red. B. Justifying his opinion about our tendency to be greedy. Is writer justifying his opinion of us being greedy? Yes, greedy and selfish, they are one and the same thing. But this is not our answer, because writer is not justifying his opinion about like us being greedy. Like, see, I told you this is happening throughout our human history, for example ABC, so these things prove my point. So okay, we are not justifying, we are not proving anything. C. Describing a commonly held belief about people's behavior. So, is there anything written about commonly held belief about people's behavior? Yes, this is our answer. So, where it is? Yes, in the first sentence itself. Let me just write the question number here, then I will explain you exactly where it is written. This is question number 27. So here it is written commonly held belief, it is written general assumption. General assumption. So what's the general assumption? Human beings are selfish, people behavior. So behavior is selfish is a kind of a behavior. Though negative, but it's part of our behavior. So obviously D, if we have C as our answer, D cannot be our answer. Explaining why he thinks. So there is no explanation given by the writer. I hope it is clear. Moving on to the second set, let's see if there is any answer in this particular set. 31st, Bruce Knopf. Okay, let me do this. So wherever this person's name is written, okay, there will be our answer. So before that, I don't let me read this. Otherwise there is no need, because we don't know this, we haven't read this name. So until or unless we read this name, there is no like possibility of answer here. Research shows that contemporary hunter gatherer societies tend to exhibit a high level of something in all areas of life. So there should be high level of like intelligence, high level of something. Okay, some sort of quality should be here. But when we will read this particular name, we will like revisit it. Okay, yes, no, not given. Some anthropologists, so we haven't read about anthropologists, are mistaken about the point when the number of societies such as Aikang began to decline. So wherever these anthropologist or this particular name is given, our answer will be there. So the keyword is began to decline and they are mistaken. Okay. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna read the second question, because we know in the first paragraph this is the only answer that we have. 28th. What point is made about Richard Dawkins' book, The Selfish Gene? Okay, let me do this. Now they are asking us what point is made about this person. We have to find this person, and this is the name of the book, The Selfish Gene. So what point is being made? It appeal lay sorry its appeal lay in the radical nature of its ideas. So the book is attractive because of the radical nature of its ideas. B. Its success was due to the scientific support it offered. Because of the scientific support, it became successful. C. It presented a view that was in line with the attitude of its time. Basically, it gave us or it showed us a view that was in line. In line meaning to say in accordance, in agreement with the attitudes, okay, of its time, like how people thought at that time. The book presented like accurate view of that particular time. It took an innovative approach to the analysis of human psychology. So innovative meaning to say new approach, inventive approach, creative approach. In what terms? In terms of analyzing human psychology, human psyche. Okay, let's see where Richard Dawkins is written. This bleak view of human nature is closely associated with the science writer Richard Dawkins. Okay, this is the name we were looking for, whose 1976 book The Selfish Gene. Okay, this is the name of the book. So we have found our location. Became popular. Okay, so it became popular because it fitted so well with and helped to justify the competitive and individualistic ethos that was so that was so prevalent in the late 20th century societies. Like many others, Dawkins justifies his view with reference to the field of evolutionary psychology. Evolutionary psychology theorizes that present day human traits developed in prehistoric times during what is termed the environment of evolutionary adaptedness. Okay, so basically our answer is from here to here. I hope this paragraph is clear to you. So they are telling us like why book became popular. Okay, and like many others, Dawkins justifies his views with the help of evolutionary psychology. Okay, so here we are not concerned about evolutionary psychology. We are just concerned about the point made about Richard Dawkins' book, The Selfish Gene, which is written here, The Selfish Gene. So you have 10 seconds and your time start now. Okay, time's up. So let's read it together. A option. Its appeal lay in radical nature of its ideas. Just 1 second, guys. Let me drink some water. Okay, so its appeal lay in the radical nature of its ideas. So, is there anything about the nature of ideas? What kind of ideas are given with in it? Nothing about that. So, it cannot be our answer. Okay, its success was due to the scientific support it offered. Is there anything about scientific support it offered, like like are accurate, scientifically accurate, something like that? Nothing about like that. C. Sorry about that. C. It presented a view that was in line with the attitude of its time. Is there anything that these are views in the book were like similar to those in that particular time period? Yes, this is our answer. C. Now let me change the color. So we know A cannot be our answer, B cannot be our answer, and D. It took an innovative approach. There is nothing about innovative approach to analyze human psyche. So this is our answer. Let me write here. This is question number 28. I hope it is clear. Let me like clarify it to you again. So here it is written in line with the attitude of its time. So here it is written because it fitted so well and helped to justify the competitive and individualistic ethos that was so prevalent in the, so if something is prevalent, it is common, like it is like in trend at that particular time. So basically those comparative and individualistic ethos, meaning to say ideas or morals that were so prevalent during this, so the attitudes, how the people behaved, what the behavior, something like that. I hope it is clear. Moving on to the 29th question. What does the writer suggest about the prehistoric, oh sorry, let me do this. We will, instead of 29th, we're gonna go to this Bruce Knopf. We haven't read anything about Bruce Knopf in this, and nothing about icon. Okay, so now we're gonna go to the 29th question, and I believe, what does the writer suggest about prehistoric era in the fourth paragraph? So one, two, three, four. So this is our fourth paragraph. Okay, so what should we do is we can read the third paragraph, and if we find any of the other sets there, we will do that. So we're going to read the third paragraph just now. What I'm going to do is, so we know our location is fourth paragraph, and this is the fourth paragraph, and this is the fourth paragraph. Prehistoric is usually seen as a period of intense competition when life was such a brutal battle that only those with traits such as selfishness, aggression, and ruthlessness survived. And because survival depended on access to resources such as rivers, forests, and animals, there was bound to be conflict between rival groups, which led to the development of traits such as racism and warfare. This seems logical, but in fact, the assumption on which this all rests, that prehistoric life was a desperate struggle for survival, is false. There is no mention of Brusnov or Aikung that we are concerned with here and here. So if there is no mention of that, that means in third paragraph we don't have any answer. So it's like a free paragraph per se. Let's move to the fourth paragraph. Now we will read the question. What does the writer suggest about prehistoric era in the fourth paragraph? Now we will see what the writer is trying to tell us about the prehistoric era in the fourth paragraph. A option: societies were more complex than many people believe. Like societies more complex. Like people tend to think that societies were less complex, but actually they were more complex than we believe. Okay. Supplies of natural resources were probably relatively plentiful. So we have natural resources which were so those supplies were plentiful, meaning to say they were not scarce. There were a lot of natural resources. Most estimates sorry about that most estimates about population sizes are likely to be inaccurate. So whatever we thought about the population sizes, those estimates are inaccurate. D. Humans moved across continents more than was previously thought. Okay, so we moved across continents more than was previously thought. That will be okay. Sorry about that. So let's just say in the previous era they thought that humans uh, let me do this just 1 second. Okay, let's say they thought that humans moved like across only one continent like once a year, but it was more than that. So whatever the thought was, whatever the figure was, it we did more than that. So if that's the answer, that's the case, D will be our answer. I hope it is clear. So let's read the fourth paragraph. Let's see what the writer wants to suggest about the prehistoric era. It's important to remember that in prehistoric era, okay, the world was very sparsely populated. According to some estimates, around 15,000 years ago, the population of Europe was only 29,000 and the population of the whole world was less than half a million. So around 50,000 years ago, this was the population. This was the population of Europe and whole world less than half a million. Humans at that time were hunter gatherers, people who lived by hunting wild animals and collecting wild plants. So humans, they what they did was they lived like hunter gatherers. So they lived in groups of hunters. So they hunt wild animals and they collected wild plants. With such small population densities, it seems unlikely that prehistoric hunter gatherer groups had to compete against each other for resources or had any need to develop ruthlessness and competitiveness or to go to war. So they are saying that the human population was like nothing, okay, only half a mil across the entire world. So it's like nothing. So it's highly it's highly unlikely that they have to compete against each other for resources because earth was is and was full of resources even at that particular time. So there was no need to develop the ruthlessness or the competitiveness or even go to war. So it's highly unlikely these are the scenarios. Okay, so you have 10 seconds and your time start now. Okay, time's up. So uh, l- let's let's read together. A option: societies were more complex than many people believe. Can this be the answer? No. So there's something about population. Let's read about that first. Most estimates about population sizes are likely to be inaccurate. Can this be our answer? No, obviously. Let's mark the answer first, and our answer to this is B. Let me do this. Okay, why A cannot be our answer? Because there is no mention that societies were more complex than we think. There is nothing about that. C cannot be our answer. Why? Because there is no mention of the inaccuracies. There is just mention that this if this was the population 29,000 in Europe and less than half a million around the world. But those estimates were inaccurate or those estimates are inaccurate. There is nothing written about that. D, humans moved across more. There is even no mention of that either. So B, where it is, from where you can say it is B. Yes, from here. We can easily deduce its answer is B. Let me write the location here first, then I will tell you. Okay, so here it is unlikely that gatherers had to compete for this or go to war this. Okay, and if we read here, mm, okay, so here it is written about some sort of like uh, plentiful. So here they are saying that they the like earth was sparsely populated, means say thinly populated, and only this much people lived there in on earth, and population densities were such small like densities, so it is not likely that they had to compete for resources, mean to say the resources were more than sufficient. There was no need to compete for those resources. I hope it makes sense. Okay, moving on to the next question, 30th. The writer refers to Bruce Knopf's work as a support for the idea that, okay, here here's the name Bruce Knopf. So Knopf's, okay, I forgot the T. Okay, Bruce Knopf's. Here it is, and here it is also. So hopefully in the next paragraph we're gonna find this particular person. So let's see what the writer is saying here. The writer refers to Bruce Knopf's work as support for the idea that selfishness is a relatively recent development in human societies. So the selfishness is recent development. It's not like old trait. It's like latest development that we human did in our like psyche. Okay, something like that. B option, only people in isolated communities can live in an unselfish manner. So people who live in like isolation or isolated communities, they are unselfish. Okay, very few lifestyles have survived unchanged since prehistoric time. Very few lifestyles survived unchanged that were like prehistoric times. Hunter gatherer cultures worldwide are declining in numbers. So this particular culture is on the decline. Okay, so now people do not live in hunter gatherer societies. So because of the modern amenities, the malls, the complexes, or whatever not, supermarkets, so we do not need to hunt for our food. We can go to any grocery store and buy. Okay, so this is the option that is saying. Let's see what this particular person is saying. There is significant evidence to back this notion from contemporary hunter gatherer groups who live in the same way as prehistoric humans did. So there is something about contemporary hunter gatherers and prehistoric humans. As the anthropologist Bruce Knopf has remarked, hunter gatherers are characterized by extreme political and sexual egalitarianism. Knopf has observed that individuals in such groups do not accumulate property or possessions and have an ethical obligation to share everything. So Knopf is saying that people who are living in such hunter gatherer groups, they do not accumulate any property or possessions. Okay, meaning to say they do not buy property, they do not own anything, and they have an ethical obligation. So they have moral obligation to share everything. So basically they are sharing everything with each other. They also have methods of preserving egalitarianism by ensuring that disparities of status do not arise. So, how they preserve egalitarianism? By ensuring that disparities of status don't arise. So, because if you don't own anything, how can somebody hold like higher status than others? So, that's an egalitarian society. Okay, so I hope it is clear. The answer is quite like easy to find, I will say. So you have 10 seconds and your time starts now. Okay, time's up. I hope you found the correct answer. First, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to mark the correct answer, then we will see why it's the correct answer and why others are not the correct answer. And the correct answer for this is, which you have marked, A, B, C, or D. Yes, the correct answer is option A. Selfishness is a relatively recent development in human societies. Okay, let me tell you why this is the correct answer. Or first, let's see why other answers cannot be our correct answer, if that makes more sense. Only people in isolated communities can live in an unselfish manner. Is there anything mentioned about people living in like isolated communities, like away from the world in remote areas, and only they are unselfish, others are selfish if you live in like close knit societies? No, there is there is no mention of that. So this cannot be our answer. C. Very few lifestyles have unchanged, so there is no mention about unchanged lifestyles or untouched lifestyles, same as previous lifestyles. There is nothing about that. Or is there anything? Okay, hunter gatherer cultures worldwide are declining in numbers. Is there any mention of anything like this? No. Here they are saying they live is the same way as prehistoric humans did, but there is no mention about very few lifestyles. This is only the one they are talking about, living in the same way. Let me do this. Okay, living in the same way, but other than that we have not been given any other lifestyle. So very few lifestyles we have not given more than two or three examples. Okay, we just given one example. And here hunter gatherer, but their numbers are declining or not, we don't know about that. We just know these groups of people, like I don't know how big or how small the groups are, they live in the same way as prehistoric humans did. Clear? So this can be very confusing with the C option, but here again I'm again explaining to you why C cannot be our answer, because here they are saying very few lifestyles. I hope it is clear. And now let's see how A is our answer. So A option is saying that selfishness is a relatively recent phenomena. But here, okay, and here from here you can easily see that here it is also written, observed that individuals in such groups, meaning to say the prehistoric groups, do not accumulate properties or possessions. They share everything. So they do not they have time, they have like some methods to ensure that disparities do not arise according to the status. So that's why when we accumulate anything, when we are selfish, when we want that our like status in society is more, should be more than others, or we want to show that we are better off than others, only then we accumulate such possessions like big cars, luxury cars, houses, all right, a fat bank balance, things like that, only to show a world that we are better. Okay, we are not like ordinary people, we are in the top 1%, 4%, 10% of people. I hope it is clear why A option is the answer. Okay, now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to the blanks because the person's name is also written here, Bruce Knopf's. So let's see. Bruce, the answer is here or not. Bruce Knopf's research show that contemporary hunter gatherer. So yes, we have read this. Contemporary hunter gatherer groups. Here it is written contemporary hunter gatherer societies tend to exhibit a high level of dash in all areas of life. So they tend to exhibit, meaning to say here exhibit means show a high level of something in all areas of life. Let's see if there is any answer over here. There is a significant evidence to back this notion from contemporary hunter gatherer groups who live in the same way as prehistoric humans did. As the anthropologist Bruce Knopf has remarked, so remarked meaning to say shown in the research, hunter gatherers are characterized by extreme political and sexual egalitarianism. Okay, so our answer should be from should be in this particular sentence, and you have some time to tell me the answer, and your time starts now. Okay, and time's up. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to write the answer here. Okay, first let me mark the answer, then I'm going to write it. I hope you found the correct answer, and the answer is egalitarian. This one. Just one second, what happened here? Just one second, guys. I don't know what's happening to the mouse. This is question 31. So this is our answer, egalitarianism. So why it is our answer? I hope you found the correct answer and you have found the linking words as well. Here it is written a high level of, and here it is written extreme. Oh, sorry about that. Here it is written extreme. So extreme meaning to say a high level of. Okay. In all areas of life. Okay. Here it is written political and sexual. So that's basically in your all areas of life in the prehistoric times, if we call so, or in even in today. I hope it is clear. Moving on to the 32nd question, and let's see if it's this answer is in this paragraph or not. In these cultures, so these cultures meaning to say egalitarian cultures, distributing resources fairly among all members is a moral obligation. So here it is written moral obligation. Here it is written ethical obligation. These societies also employ strategies to prevent differences in dash occurring. For example, ICUNG follow a custom whereby credit for one person's success. Okay, so here it is ICUNG. So wherever it is written, the in the next paragraph, I believe we will find the answer here. So here the answer is to prevent differences in something. So yes, the answer is in this particular sentence, and you have some time to tell me the answer, and your time starts now. Okay, time's up. I'm gonna write the answer now. Answer is status. Here it is written. Let me mark the answer first, then I will tell you why this is the answer. This is question number 32. Okay, so here they have written, these societies also employ strategies to prevent differences in. So I have told you disparities meaning to say differences. So differences status don't arise. So don't, if you are preventing something, so you do not let it to rise. I hope it is clear. Don't arise meaning to say prevent. Disparities, differences. So disparities of something, differences in something. So the preposition will depend on the word before that. Okay. So disparities of something and differences in something. Clear? I hope it is clear. Moving on to the next. Here for this we need icon. So we haven't found that. So here it is icon. So let me read the next question. So okay, we are MCQs. We are with MCQ reference to MCQs. We are come done. So we have to focus on blanks and yes no from now. The hiking people of Southern Africa, for example, swap arrows before going hunting, and when an animal is killed, the acclaim doesn't go to the person who fired the arrow, but to the person the arrow belongs to. So here it is. For example, the icon follow a custom whereby credit for one person's success at dash is given to another member of the group. Let me do this. Okay, so I hope you are able to find the answer. So our answer is in this particular sentence, and for this answer you have 10 seconds to tell me, and your let me do this, and your time starts now. Okay, time's up, and now I'm going to write the answer here and see if you arrived at the correct answer or not. And the answer is hunting. I hope you found the correct answer. Let me write the question number here, then I will tell you how we arrived at this answer. Question 31. So here, oh sorry about that, 33. So here they are saying that they follow a custom whereby the credit for one person's success at something is given to other member of the group. So they are saying that before going hunting, when an animal is killed, so they what they do is, so they have a custom. So what is the custom? So here they are saying they follow a custom, and what the custom is, they swap arrows before going hunting. So and when an animal is killed, the acclaim does not go to the person who fired the arrow, but to the person the arrow belongs to. Okay, the claim doesn't go the person who fired the arrow, but to the person the arrows belong to. So that's their custom. I hope it is clear. Let's see. Let's see if we are able to find any true false or not here. Some anthropologists are mistaken by the point where number of cities. Oh, there is the thing about decreasing number or something like that. So we'll do is we'll focus on the next blank. 34th. Individuals who behave in a dash manner, okay, are punished by being excluded from the group, and women have a considerable amount of dash in choices regarding work and marriage. Okay, first we're going to focus on question number 34. I believe 34 and 35 should be close by because it's in the one sentence, but first we're going to focus on 34. So there the blank is saying that individuals who behave in a dash manner, so there it should be some sort of quality, who behave in a bad manner or who behave in a good manner, something like that. But if you are being punished, obviously that should be something negative. You you cannot be, or hopefully they were not punished for good behavior. So something negative, okay, something negative manner are punished. But how they are punished? They are being excluded from the group, like they are driven away, they were driven away from the group. They were told that they were on their own, so and they didn't have anything to do with the group. Let's see if we find something here or not. And if a person becomes too domineering, the other members of the group ostracize them, exiling the offender from society. All right, here should be our answer, or here is our, in this sentence we have our answer. And again, you know the rule, you know the drill. Your 10 seconds start now. Okay, time's up. Moving on to the answer. First I will mark the answer, and our answer is this word, domineering. Let me mark the answer first, then I will tell you why this is our answer. Let me write here. Okay, so let me tell you why, and let me show you the words that from where we found out or we arrived at this particular answer. Okay, uh, this. So here they're saying that individual who behave in a dash manner are punished. So we know, if whatever the word here, it should be some sort of a negative word, negative manner, by excluded from the group. Where it is written excluded from the group? Yes, ostracized. So if somebody is ostracized, right, meaning to say they are cast aside, so they are like driven out of the group. So here it is also written exiling. So if you are sent in an exile, so meaning to say you are sent in, like in the woods on your own. All right, so offender from the society. So what this particular word means, domineering. Domineering means sort of a bossy attitude, or sort of an attitude like where you think you are above the others, or you should be in command and others are not. Others should be like inferior to you, you are superior to them somehow. So if anybody exhibits this kind of behavior, or exhibited this kind of behavior, he or she was ostracized, or they were excluded from the group. All right, let's see now the next question, 35. Women have a considerable amount of something. So what kind of word do you think should be here in choices of work and marriage? So like considerable amount of freedom, or considerable amount of, yeah, I believe some sort of that particular word should be here. Let's see what women had. Women in hunter gatherers groups worldwide often benefit from a high level of autonomy, being able to select their own marriage partner. So there's something about marriage, decide what work they do and work they do, and work whatever they choose to. So there is something about work and marriage. So obviously, and if a marriage breaks down, they have custody rights over the children. Okay, that's the different thing. So our answer is in this particular sentence, and your time starts now. Okay, time's up. And what's happening? Let me mark the answer here. Our answer is this particular word, autonomy. This is question number 35. So this is our answer, autonomy. So autonomy is basically self-reliant, meaning to say they have freedom. So whatever they wanted to do, with whomever they wanted to marry, whatever kind of work they wanted to do, whenever they wanted to do, like they didn't feel like doing work during their pregnancy or after their pregnancy, they wanted to take care of the child, they can do that. If they wanted to work, they can do that. If they wanted to marry someone, like of a person of their choice, they can do that. So that's autonomy for you. All right. So our blanks are done, MCQs are done. Now moving on to the last set, we have yes, no, not given. Let's see if we have read this particular question in the previous paragraph or not. Some anthropologists are mistaken about the point when the number of societies such as icon began to decline. So we haven't read anything about that, but maybe that's a not given. Let me read the next question. Humans who developed warlike traits in prehistory would have had an advantage over those who did not. We haven't read about warlike traits. Being peaceful and cooperative is a natural way for people to behave. So, peaceful and cooperative, we haven't read that. Negative traits are more apparent in some modern cultures than others. So, negative traits more some cultures than others, we haven't read that. Animal research has failed to reveal a link between changes in environment and emergence of aggressive tendencies. So we haven't read anything about. So basically we haven't read anything. So our answers should be in the remaining paragraphs. Okay, there are a lot of paragraphs remaining. So our answer should be here. Many anthropologists, okay, here it is, believe that the societies such as Icon were normal not until a few thousand years ago, when population growth led to the development of agriculture and a settled lifestyle. In view of the above, there seems little reason to assume that the traits such as racism, warfare, and male domination should have been selected by evolution, as they would have been of little benefit in the prehistoric era. Individuals who behaved selfishly and ruthlessly would be less likely to survive, since they would have been ostracized from their groups. Okay, so our till now we uh, from here to here, where it is here. So we have our answer 36th. Can you tell me if it is yes, no, or not given? This is our like information and this is our question. Let me do this. So you have about 10 seconds to tell me the answer, and the time starts now. Okay, time's up. What I can do is I'm going to write the answer here first and see whether you arrived at the correct answer or not. And the answer is not given. And let me mark the location here. This is question number 36. I hope you all arrived at the correct answer. Let me tell you why it is not given. So here they are saying that some anthropologists are mistaken the point point when the number of societies such as Icon began to decline. So yes, we know these societies began, the numbers began to decline, but we don't know whether the point or whether the year, like they were mistaken or not. Like they said until a few thousand years ago it was a common theme, but whether they were mistaken or whether they were accurate or what's the like point a few thousand years ago is like quite a big term. It could be like 10,000 years ago, 5,000 years ago. We have not been given an exact point of time, and we don't know whether that point is correct or not, or is it mistaken or not, there is any mistake or not. So because of that, the answer to this is not given. Okay, moving on to 37th. Humans who have developed warlike traits in prehistory would have had an advantage over those who did not. So when the answer will be true, when the humans who are like ruthless, aggressive, like these, they have traits, warlike traits. They like they have they let me do this. They held an advantage over those who did not, like who were soft, polite. They had advantage over that. We will say yes. But if they didn't have any advantage over them, like they were same, or other, or it can be opposite, they had disadvantage over those who did not have such traits, or their advantage was same, there is no advantage basically, their level was same, we will say no. But if we don't know whether there was any advantage or not, or whether there is any disadvantage or not, we will say not given. Okay, we have read something about that here, I believe. In the view of the above, there seems to be little reason to assume that traits such as racism, warfare, and male domination should have been selected by evolution, as they would have been of little benefit of prehistoric era. Individuals who behaved selfishly and ruthlessly would be less likely to survive, since they would have been ostracized from their groups. Okay, our answer should be in this. Okay, so more precisely, if I want to give you a more precise, so our answer is in this particular two particular sentences. Okay, now you have some time to tell me the answer, and your time starts now. Okay, time's up. What I'm going to do is I'm going to write the answer here, and the answer is no. Why it is no, can you tell me? Let me do this. Yes, from here you can easily say. Let me do this from here to here. So you can easily view here that there seems to be little reason to assume, and remove this. Warfare, male domination should have been selective evolution, as they would have been little benefit in prehistoric era. So little benefit meaning to say no benefit at all, and more than that, individuals who behaved selfishly and ruthlessly, they were ostracized. They were like driven away from the group, excluded from the group. So there was no advantage per se. I hope it is clear. 38th, being peaceful and cooperative is a natural way for people to behave. So if these two things, or if being polite and cooperative is the natural way to behave, we will say yes. But if it is not the natural way, we will say no. Like if something else is the natural way, we will say no. And if we don't know what's the natural way, like if peaceful and cooperation is the natural way or not, we will say not given. Let's see. It makes more sense then to see traits such as cooperation, egalitarianism, altruism, and peacefulness as innate characteristics of human beings. These were the traits that were prevalent in human life for tens of thousands of years. So, presumably, these traits are still strong in us now. Okay, so obviously, answer is in this particular paragraph, and your time starts now. Time's up, and let me write the answer here first. Oh, sorry about that. And the answer is yes. And where are the words that we need? Here is the cooperation, cooperative, cooperation, peaceful, peacefulness, and there are innate characteristics of humans. So innate meaning to say inbuilt. So whatever is your default setting, it's your natural way, obviously. That's why the answer is yes. I hope it is clear. Moving on to 39th question. Negative traits are more apparent in some modern cultures than in others. So when the answer will be yes, when maybe in instead of some modern cultures, there may be given two or three names of the cultures and then compared with other two or three cultures. So they or others say, and they say then rather than the rest of the cultures, basically like that. So if in some cultures there are more negative traits than the positive ones, we'll say yes. But if there is no such thing like in all cultures it's the same, we'll say no. And if we don't know anything about that, like whether there are more negative traits in some cultures, or if there is no information regarding this, we'll say not given. Okay, we'll read the next paragraph. But if prehistoric life wasn't really as brutal as has often been assumed, why do modern humans behave so selfishly and ruthlessly? So it is saying that if prehistoric life wasn't as cruel, as brutal as it has been told to us, so why we behave so selfishly and ruthlessly? Perhaps these negative traits should be seen as a later development. Okay, so these traits are our later development, the result of environmental and psychological factors. So what are those? They are the result of environmental and psychological factors. Research has shown repeatedly that when the natural habitats of primates such as apes and gorillas are disrupted, they tend to become more violent and hierarchical. So that's about apes and gorillas, nothing about cultures. All right. So obviously, our answer should be here somewhere. Okay. And you have some time to tell me the answer. And till then, I'm going to write the location here, and your time starts now. Okay, time's up, and your answer is, drum roll please, not given. I hope everybody arrived at the correct answer, because here they just told about the negative traits and why these negative traits appear in human beings because of the environmental and psychological factors, but there is no comparison between some cultures and others and the rest. Hope it is clear. 40th, animal research has failed to reveal a link between changes in the environment and emergence of aggressive tendencies. So they're saying that whatever the research we have done on animals, it failed to reveal, basically to show what failed to reveal link between changes in environment and emergence of aggressive tendencies. So when the answer will be yes, when this research failed to do this particular thing, we will say yes. But when the answer will be no, when this research succeeded to reveal this particular link, we'll say no. And when it will be not given, when we don't know whether the research was carried out or not, or whether the research was a success or a failure, so we will say not given. So we have read something about animals and research here. Here, research shown that repeatedly that when the natural habitats of primates such as apes and gorillas, so animal research, are disrupted, they tend to become more violent and hierarchical. So this is our location. So you have again 10 seconds to tell me the answer, and your time starts now. Time's up, and I'm going to write the answer now, and the answer is no. I hope you figured out the correct answer. Why it is no? Because here they have said research has shown repeatedly that there is this link. So change in the environment. So they when the habitats are destroyed, so these habitats of animals are disrupted. That's a change of their living environment. Okay, their living at conditions, and aggressive behavior more violent? I hope it is clear. That's why the answer is no. So in the last paragraph, there is nothing because we have completed all the questions. Just we will read it for this sake of the reading. So it could be it could well be that the same thing has happened to us. I believe that the end of the hunter gatherer lifestyle and the advent of farming was connected to a psychological change that occurred in some groups of people. There was a new sense of individuality and separateness, which led to new selfishness and ultimately hierarchical societies, patriarchy, and warfare. At any rate, these negative traits appear to have developed so recently that it doesn't seem feasible to explain them in adaptive or evolutionary terms. Okay, so there is no answer in that. So, this is how you can solve this particular paragraph. Okay, I hope I have made it abundantly clear. If you are still unable to understand any particular question, be my guest. Watch the video again and again, or that part of the video again and again until that context or that question is clear to you. And if there is any word that you were not able to understand, go to Google, search the meaning of that particular word, and the sentence will be clearer to you. Okay, so I hope you got the context here, and I will see you in the next video. Till then, take care and goodbye.